Initiation is the 5th episode of the 3rd season of The Office. This is directed by Randall Einhorn, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's a really brilliant episode, definitely some really great moments, and the ending, in fact the last kind of 3 or 4 minutes must be some of my favourite The Office minutes ever, but we'll get there in due course. It starts off with Dwight giving Rainn brain teasers, and part of the episode does focus on Dwight and Rainn. So I'll talk about kind of each part of the narrative in turn rather than going through things chronologically. We'll come to Dwight and Rainn in a little bit. Jan is visiting Michael. She then asks Pam to log everything that he does during the day so that corporate can analyse it. And Pam says to the camera, Jan used to treat Michael like he's a 10-year-old, but lately it's like he's 5. Which I think is pretty interesting. I'm really keen to see what they do with this, if this comes up in a future episode. Because, as it happens, Michael was doing not a lot of work during the day. I don't want anything bad to happen to Michael, but I'm keen to see what happens there. So that part of the episode was quite interesting. It also ties into Pretzel Day, because Michael did spend a bit of time waiting in line for pretzels because the pretzel cart visits once a year. And Stanley's response to Pretzel Day, I absolutely loved. I think this has to be my favourite Stanley moment so far. Really thoroughly enjoyed that quite a lot. And Dwight and Rainn, their story, it was okay. It wasn't my favourite. I will say it's very unpredictable, and that kind of kept it entertaining. Dwight has taken Rainn out on his first sales call, and he drives him to the middle of a field, and he's planting a seed. Rainn is planting a seed in bullcrap because Dwight says a client can smell it from a mile away. That's definitely one way to make that a memorable lesson. Wouldn't want to do it myself. Dwight then drives off in his car, leaving Rainn to walk away or walk back himself, and he ends up being interrogated in this shed, and Dwight's cousin is there. He's going to fight Rainn, and it was a very bizarre scene, but we do have a moment of bonding between them towards the end of their story when they go to the sales call. Eventually they do get there, and they kind of both have a very similar response to it, which was quite nice to see. I can't imagine Dwight and Rainn ever being friends. I could be wrong about that. It was an interesting enough part of the episode, but certainly not my favourite. We do see Jim a decent amount, and Jim has swapped Karen's chair for the squeaky one, and it brought back memories of such irritation. Because there is nothing worse, and that's an exaggeration, but there is nothing worse than having your office chair swapped. Not necessarily intentionally. For example, if there's an office Christmas party, chairs might get moved around a lot, and somebody might accidentally, maybe on purpose, take your chair and replace it with a terrible one. And it is so frustrating. So as much as I don't like Karen, I understood how she was feeling, and she's trying to get Jim to swap the chairs back. He won't, so she starts squeaking her chair, which honestly is a horrible sound, and it should have worked, but instead, Jim just started singing. Ultimately, I did like how that part of the narrative concluded. I thought it worked quite well. Not the most interesting narrative, but it was quite good fun. And then we have, honestly, a scene that made my heart race a little bit because I didn't see it coming. Jim is phoning Dunder Mifflin, and Pam picks up. He thought Pam would have gone home by now. It's 5:20, and Pam answers, and honestly, it's only awkward for a second. And then they talk, and it's absolutely beautiful. And they end up, well, the call ends because Pam is actually saying bye to Rainn. Jim thinks she's saying bye to him. It's not that awkward, but I kind of wonder where the conversation would have went if that hadn't happened. And they've broken the barrier. They are now going to talk more, I hope, because that awkwardness has now disappeared, and they can have a lovely conversation. And when Pam said it felt like he was far away, to the point of him being in a different time zone, which he isn't, I just thought was very, very telling. And it was a really beautiful moment. And then we end the episode with Stanley saying 364 days till the next pretzel day, which I quite liked. So a really strong episode for the most part. Dwight and Rainn, it was something a bit different. It was something we don't normally see, so that wasn't too bad. That's my cat meowing. And in general, I rather liked it. Really hope we get some movement with Pam and Jim, because foolishly, I had thought from the end of the previous season that they would be together from the beginning of the next season, and Jim wouldn't have moved. So that's genuinely what I thought was going to happen. I was very, very wrong. So I have no idea what's going to happen going forward. But I'm hopeful, hoping for the best, and looking forward to finding out.